Ribeye, cut from the rib section of the cow. This steak is highly prized for its exceptional marbling and rich flavor. The high amount of intramuscular fat melts during cooking, basting the meat from the inside and keeping it incredibly juicy. You will often find it sold either boneless or bone-in. With the bone-in version sometimes referred to as a cowboy steak or a tomahawk if the entire rib bone is left intact. Historically, this cut comes from the upper rib cage, an area that does not do a lot of heavy lifting, which explains its characteristic tenderness. Chefs often recommend cooking it over high heat to sear the exterior, while allowing the internal fat to render completely. It matters to steak lovers because it represents the pinnacle of beefy richness, offering a buttery texture that few other cuts can match. Filet Mignon. This elegant cut comes from the tenderloin, a long muscle that sits tucked away along the spine of the animal. Because this muscle does virtually no physical work, the meat is famously tender, yielding to a butter knife with almost no resistance. It contains very little fat or marbling, which means it has a much milder, more subtle beef flavor compared to options like the Ribeye. In classic French cuisine, it has long been celebrated as the ultimate luxury cut, often paired with rich sauces like béarnaise or a red wine reduction to compensate for its lean profile. Grilling or pan-searing it quickly to medium rare is essential, as overcooking will dry it out due to the lack of internal fat. It holds a permanent spot on steakhouse menus because it offers an unmatched, melt-in-your-mouth texture for those who prefer tenderness over intense fat utilization. New York strip. Sourced from the short loin behind the ribs, this steak offers a beautiful balance of deep beef flavor and satisfying chew. It features a tight texture with decent marbling and is instantly recognizable by the thick strip of fat running down one side. This fat cap renders during cooking, infusing the meat with a robust flavor that has made it a favorite in American steakhouses for generations. The cut gained its famous name from the iconic Delmonico's restaurant in New York City during the 19th century, where it was served as a signature dish. It is a versatile steak that holds up beautifully to grilling, pan-searing, or broiling. For anyone looking for a classic, hearty steak experience that delivers both texture and a rich, traditional beef taste, this is usually the benchmark. T-bone. This classic presentation actually gives you two distinct steaks in a single cut, separated by a characteristic T-shaped bone. On one side of the bone sits a New York strip, while the smaller side holds a piece of the tenderloin. It is cut from the front section of the short loin, meaning you get a contrasting experience of rich flavor from the strip and buttery tenderness from the fillet. Cooking a T-bone requires a bit of skill because the lean tenderloin cooks faster than the marbly strip side, forcing cooks to balance the heat carefully. Historically, it represents the quintessential backyard barbecue steak, offering a dramatic visual appeal on the plate. It matters because it provides a dual tasting experience, letting you enjoy the best of two worlds without having to choose between them. Porterhouse. Often confused with the T-bone, this massive cut is taken from the very back of the short loin where the tenderloin muscle is at its thickest. By culinary definition, a porterhouse must feature a tenderloin section that is at least 1.25 inches wide, making it significantly larger and heavier than a standard T. The name traces back to 19th century coach houses and taverns in New York and London that served porter ale alongside hearty, heavy meals. Because of its immense size, it is frequently served as a meal for two in high-end establishments, carved up and shared right at the table. It requires careful, attentive cooking over a grill or broiler to ensure both sides reach the desired doneness simultaneously. This cut is the ultimate choice for large appetites or shared dining experiences, delivering maximum portions of premium beef. Flank steak. Cut from the abdominal muscles of the cow, this is a long, flat steak characterized by its very prominent, coarse grain running across the meat. It is a lean, relatively tough muscle that works hard during the animal's life, meaning it lacks the tenderness of loin cuts, but makes up for it with an incredibly intense beef flavor. This cut has deep roots in home cooking traditions, where it was historically used for economical, slow-marinated dishes before rising to modern culinary popularity. To get the best out of a flank steak, it should be flashed over intense heat to medium rare, and then sliced very thinly against the grain at an angle. It is an essential component in dishes like fajitas or stir-fries, valued by cooks who know how to unlock its deep flavor through proper slicing techniques. Skirt steak. This long, thin cut comes from the diaphragm muscle inside the chest cavity, just below the ribs. It is often divided into inside and outside skirt, with the outside version being thicker, more tender, and highly sought after by professional chefs. The meat has a very loose, fibrous structure and a high fat content, which allows it to absorb marinades exceptionally well while retaining its moisture over high heat. It is the original, authentic cut used for Mexican carne, asada, and fajitas, traditional to the cattle ranching culture of Texas and northern Mexico. Because it cooks incredibly fast, it requires just a couple of minutes over a blazing hot grill to develop a beautiful crust without drying out. It is favored for its unique texture and an earthy, robust beefiness that stands up well to bold seasonings and acidic marinades. Flat iron. Sourced from the shoulder clod in the chuck section of the cow, this steak was actually discovered through modern scientific research into bovine anatomy. For a long time, this flavorful muscle was discarded or turned into ground beef because a tough, gristle-like connective tissue ran right through the middle of it. University researchers developed a specific butchering method to slice the muscle horizontally, removing the gristle and revealing a steak that is incredibly tender and well marbled. Today, it ranks as the second most tender cut on the entire animal, falling just behind the filet mignon, but it costs a fraction of the price. It cooks beautifully in a Castilian skillet, offering a deep, beefy chuck flavor combined with an unexpected, delicate texture. Hanger steak. Hanger from the diaphragm between the rib and the loin. This cut gets its name because it literally hangs out near the kidneys. Historically, it was known as the butcher's steak because it was rarely sold to the public. Butchers would keep it for themselves because they appreciated its incredible flavor. There is only one hanger steak per animal, making it a relatively rare find in standard grocery stores. It features a deep, almost metallic or mineral-like beef flavor and a long, thick grain that resembles skirt steak. Traditional French bistros have long celebrated this cut under the name ongolt, typically serving it rare with a side of fries. Because it can become quite chewy if overcooked, it demands a quick, hot sear and a precise rest before being sliced against the grain. Sirloin top. Cut from the hip area just behind the loin, this steak offers a lean, economical option for everyday cooking. It is a large, versatile muscle that does a moderate amount of work, resulting in a texture that is firm but still tender enough for quick cooking methods. While it lacks the heavy marbling of a ribeye, it delivers a very clean, straightforward beef flavor without excess fat. It is a staple of family restaurants and home kitchens, frequently used for steak tips, kebabs, or weeknight grilling. Because it is lean, marinating it beforehand can help tenderize the fibers and enhance the moisture level before it hits the heat. It is appreciated by those who want a solid, nutritious, and affordable protein option that still feels like a traditional steak dinner. Tri-tip. This triangular cut comes from the bottom sirloin and has its roots firmly planted in the regional barbecue culture of Central California. During the mid-20th century, a butcher in Santa Maria popularized the cut, which had previously been utilized almost exclusively for ground beef or stew meat. It features a nice fat cap on one side and a distinct grain pattern that actually changes direction halfway through the meat. It can be cooked whole as a small roast or sliced into individual steaks for grilling over red oak wood. Following the local tradition, the meat boasts a rich, savory flavor and a pleasantly chewy texture that holds onto rubs and spices exceptionally well. It remains a legendary cut for outdoor cooking enthusiasts who enjoy low and slow smoking, followed by a high-heat reverse sear. Denver steak. Another hidden gem from the chuck shoulder. This cut is carved from the underblade muscle, which sees very little movement. Similar to the flat iron, it was brought to market through modern muscle profiling studies aimed at finding premium steaks within traditionally tough sections of the animal. It is exceptionally well marbled, often showing a level of fat distribution that rivals expensive ribeyes, but at a more accessible price point. The texture is surprisingly tender, with a fine grain that yields easily when cooked to a nice meat. It is ideal for pan-searing or grilling, developing a savory crust that complements the rich, juicy interior. This cut has steadily grown in popularity among chefs who want to offer a high-quality, deeply flavorful steak experience without relying on the usual prime cuts. Tomahawk. This visually stunning steak is essentially a ribeye that has been cut with at least 5 inches of the rib bone left completely intact. The bone is Frenched, meaning the meat and fat are scraped clean down to the eye, leaving a handle that resembles a Native American axe. Because it includes the bone and a significant thickness of meat, a single tomahawk can easily weigh 2 to 3 pounds and measure 2 inches thick. This requires a 2-stage cooking process, usually starting with indirect heat to warm the center, followed by a fierce sear over an open flame to crust the exterior. It has become a viral sensation in modern restaurants, loved for its dramatic presentation and the extra moisture the bone helps retain during cooking. It is a celebratory, experiential cut meant to make a statement at the dinner table. Picanha, known alternately as the sirloin cap or culotte. This steak is the undisputed king of Brazilian churrascaria barbecue. It sits on top of the rump section, surrounded by a thick, luscious layer of white fat that is traditionally left intact during cooking. In South American preparation, the meat is sliced into thick strips, folded into a C shape with the fat on the outside, skewered and roasted over open coals. As the fat melts, it runs down the meat, basting it continuously and creating an incredibly savory, deeply seasoned exterior. The underlying meat is lean and carries a potent, robust beef flavor that pairs perfectly with simple, coarse salt. It has gained a massive global following among outdoor cooks who appreciate how the melting fat cap transforms a lean sirloin cut into a juicy masterpiece.